Okay, alright. I'm not entirely sure what I want to go over, what I want to talk about. Some nerfs are self-explanatory. Let's just go character by character, things that I think are worth mentioning or interesting. For Luke, definitely the buff to this, making it safe and that you can, like, kind of just fish for this. This buff is good because Luke is a character that gets a lot of value out of his drive gauge. Like, he's a character that can add the most value, or some of the most value, compared to any character for spending drive gauge in his combo routes, especially that route, because it has tons of corner carry. It builds you half a bar of super every single time, and it gives you the solidest, meaty-ass stand heavy kick that is, and when you have like setups that get this meaty stand heavy kick, they are absurd, because like you don't even have to get a counter hit, and you get like some of the most ridiculous value in the cast for just a non-counter hit, non-drive rush, basic bitch meaty. This is ridiculous. And when it's plus on block, like this, it also chunks their drive gauge and gives you back a huge chunk of drive gauge. So again, like getting this meaty setup is absurdly strong for him. And anyways, the point that I was making is that Luke's drive gauge, I have like these giant fucking Excel sheets where I like measure all the characters' combo routings and all their different things and practical stuff, and then I like sort of measure things next to each other so I can get an idea practically of like how much I think their super gauge is worth next to other characters, how much their drive gauge is worth. Honda, historically, I would put at some of the lowest drive gauge value because his drive rush cancels are have always been quite weak, because he could not get like legitimate mix on characters that EXDP that can EXDP through fake gaps in his drive rush cancels, and they did not extend his combos very well, but because of his buffs they do now more, so his drive gauge is worth more now, and his EX sumo walk punch triple palm slap thing, whatever, is way better now. But anyways, the point is that Luke, I measure at like one of the highest values of drive gauge in the cast, because of his absurd value he can add for the combo routings and such. Because his non-drive rush, like his basic combos that don't have drive gauge, are terrible. They're some of the weakest in the cast. Like, this is his basic knockdown. This special move that he needs to use for his basic meterless knockdowns does no damage. He doesn't get legitimate Oki off of it without drive rush or meaty tackles. He doesn't get Oki off of that. So, like, his meterless stuff is fucking terrible. So, he adds so much value from drive gauge. And that's why, like, buffs to this, I was a little skeptical of. I do think overall, I think that having the practicality of this is really good. Like, there's a lot of shit that you can do with this now. And if you just randomly throw out like a button into EX, you can confirm it into that, and that gives you a meaty roundhouse set. I fucked it up there, but that would give you a meaty roundhouse set up there. So, you know, good stuff there. This is obviously the best buff, being able to do this and just throw it out. This I was skeptical of. It's not a great buff. Like the practicality of this move, going from +1 to +2, it's fine. I mean, it's a little bit better. That was never its problem. But, yeah, I mean, I like this. Again, any place that he can save drive gauge is great, so having access to a single hit confirmable button from one of his, like, good mediums is really good. Now, granted, he's always had, like, he can always just single hit confirm this. So, you know, he has access to tools that don't get used very much, that maybe should get used more, but, you know, he's cool. It's alright. It's alright. He got good stuff. Jamie. The interesting thing about Jamie's drink system now is, if you did not know this, it's not just that he gets a flat drive gauge increase off of any of his random drinks. Now, it's actually changed. Like, yes, all of his drinks are better now because they give him drive gauge, but it's actually changed some of his ideal combo routings and because not all of his drinks are equal in value. For example, let me just kill his drive gauge and then just show you one drink. See the drive gauge that he's getting? That's like about 20-25% of a bar. I would mark that as 0.2 drive gauge, okay? It's maybe 50%. It's probably 50. Or sorry, 25%. But anyways, the point is that not all of his things like that are equal. As you can see, that one builds him 50%. So double the drive gauge for doing. So half of his drinks that he gets only build him 25% of a bar of drive gauge, and the other half build him 50%. So the ones that build him 50% are now significantly better, whereas previously all drinks were relatively the same, just depends on what kind of knockdown you get. So the ones that build him the shitty low amount of drive gauge are regular drink, crouch heavy kick target combo, and I think that's it. I think those are the two that build him the shitty amount. And then the ones that give him the good half a bar of drive gauge are the Rekka, level 1 into drink, and his overhead target combo into drink also builds him 50%. Which, you know, take that for what you will. But the point is that previously, Jamie players, if they were at 0... So, 1, the net value of doing a drink versus taking Oki has gone up. So, oh, also, I believe the forward throw also builds him 50%. So, he got a huge, enormous buff to his forward throw, which, in this game, obviously is massive. So, I would consider that, like, the strongest, out of all of his buffs, the fact that his forward throw in a drink builds him the full half a bar chunk is nuts. It's actually insane that that one builds you 50%. But anyways, so previously, Jamie players, if they're at 0 bars, they would land some sort of hit, then they would go into heavy DP and drink. But remember, regular drink like that is the shitty drink now, okay? So now, it would be more optimal to do that instead. It's better to do that now. Rekka instead of heavy DP. The extra drive gauge, the extra quarter of a bar of drive gauge is definitely superior. So another point is that it's not just that if you do a light, it's better to do that now when you're at drink level 1, but also even up to like drink level 2, now if you land something, let's say like you get a counter hit, stand strong, and then you get into like low forward or whatever, obviously, yeah, you still have like good drive rush routes that are really strong. That one in particular is still the best one. But let's say you're not going to, and you were just going to take like a whatever. Now, previously, before this patch, I would have said that when you're at 2 drinks, just taking when you're at 2 drinks, it's time to start taking Oki consistently instead of more drinks. But when you're in these scenarios, if you can get like a medium or a heavy Rekka instead of just doing the light Rekka, it makes a big difference. And I think it's significantly better than the 2 things that give him Oki, which is Bakai and light DP. So yeah, the extra huge drive gauge chunk off of that, I think, makes it worth it to do even up to 2 drinks. That's like most of what he got. He got like some weird other stuff. I don't know. I don't care. That's the main thing to understand. Anyways, Manon, boring. Kimberly got some good stuff, but I don't want to talk about it. Marisa got some things I thought were going to be. So, the buff to the overhead target combo, I was interested in when I saw it in the patch notes because I had recently done a lot of work measuring combo routes for Marisa. And, you know, you do that into the safe jump setups and whatnot. But anyways, I was like, hey, if you get knocked down from that, could be cool. You know, you get Oki from that into the launcher or whatever. But, I actually don't think it's that good. My interpretation of this, it's maybe, you know, worthwhile here and there. Gives you whatever. Here's the thing, is that if you just take, like, this knockdown, there's two things. There's a huge variety of things that you can do. One, you can go for a safe jump. I don't like the safe jump in most cases because you can't control what side you're on. Oh, wait. Because if the opponent decides to not back roll, you side switch, so you don't have control over that as Marisa. There's also, you can just simply do that in a drive rush Oki, which is like, I think the target combo is probably better than doing that. Here's the thing, is that like, the step kick has way more corner carry. See, if you do the overhead, it does like 3170 damage from this, whereas that does 3020. At further scaling, which you're usually going to have when you land these things, it's going to be less significant. And this target combo doesn't build you like that much more drive gauge. So I think they're about, like, you know, one tangentially better than the other, but it's not like one is like clearly better than the other by a wide margin. And then I still think that just doing stuff like that is better. Also, in terms of things that you can do that get immediate Oki, you have two options basically. You can do that and then take it into drive rush Oki, which only gives you forward throw and drive rush, crouch strong, or low forward, or whatever you want to do. Or, you could do a micro walk into this, which they also buffed, in a quality of life sense. They didn't really buff it, they just made it easier to land this. And if you land this, you get meaty command grab. You get drive rush into meaty command grab. In addition to that. So, I again think that, like, the risk that you take on by doing the heavier, like, command grab, drive rush mix, etc., and obviously this combo is, like, doing the sweep into that is, weaker for the immediate combo than doing something that does more damage. But anyways, my point is that it's not like a clear sight, like, ooh, it got buffed so much that this is clearly the right route to go for. I don't believe that. But her big buff was the punish counter crouch fierce. Both the regular one, which, I kind of forget. I, like, looked at this briefly. I think probably, like, your default combo would be, like, just do that, or do, like drive rush back fierce into it. But the reason why I like this, especially, is because in terms of Marisa's shimmy game, it's very awkward for her to normal throw, do nothing. In terms of Marisa's shimmy game, do something. It's very awkward for her to do stand fierce on reaction, because it is a 12 frame button. You can do it, but the window's going to be a little tight to react to the throw whiff. And that would be her ideal reaction shimmy. But the problem is, if you commit to this by itself, it can become a problem for you. Because if you just commit to it, if they're already neutral jumping because they think you're going to do some kind of command throw thing, or just because you could forward throw after drive rush, crouch, medium punch, and Marisa's a character with shitty anti-airs that can easily get beaten. If you commit to this, you're liable to get hit by that. So I've always had a problem with this as Marisa's shimmy tool, which is why I like this Crouch Fierce buff, because the Crouch Fierce routes that you get would be a little more value than just doing that. So, I like that. But the main thing that it does is it gives you big-ass, like, super and whatever punishes, you know? You can punish things really good with this. You come up with, like, a basic random combo. So, something like that. Etc. So anyways, yeah. This buff, pretty good. I don't think it solves the main problem with the character, and Bison is still just better, but... Lily! Okay, this is important. Because, like, the main things that she got was, one, she can do, let's see, off of, like, crumple states and stuff. She can do forward heavy punch target combo. So off of a DI, she could get, like, neutral jump into that, into the forward heavy punch target combo. This sucks. This sucks, and it's not better than just doing that. But anyways, it may or may not be, like, worth doing in this context, off of, like, punish, counter, stand, fierce. The problem is this gives such shit Oki in mid-screen. It's like, what are you doing? You can't even drive rush command grab. So, I hate that. I think it sucks. And I would not really use it in most circumstances. But the other buff that she got is that she can do weird shit like this. Into, like, sweep. They say sweep are level 1, but I don't know why, on God, you would spend a win stock to add, like, this tiny little hit here into level 1 when you could just, like, cancel your thing into level 1. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why you would do that. It seems like low value for spending a win stock. It gives you, like, less than 200 more damage and a tiny bit more drive gauge and space and whatever. Seems shitty. But anyways, the thing is like, oh, well, if the sweep lets you do it, it's like, is that gonna be good? I think in certain contexts, it could be good, because, it could be okay. I'm not gonna say it's good, but it could be okay. Problem is, if you do, like, 3 lights like this, which is, like, 2 or 3 lights is what you're gonna be getting most of the time, in a place where you know that you can recognize the opponent's standing and then do this combo. And with that much damage scaling, it's not worth it to do, like, this weird combo extension, and you get worse Oki from that than just doing this. So, I am not a big enjoyer of this, I think it's like, you know, in some niche scenarios, like, at or near the corner, or off of, like, certain hits where you know you're gonna get the... like, okay, let's say you do, like, drive rush, crouch, fierce, or... like, I could see that being okay. But, like, you can still get, like, 2,200 damage from doing that. It's just not great, and it's much worse Oki than just taking the Windspire. So, yeah, another season, another, like, couple of pointless, not very good Lily buffs. They do not know what to do with this character. JP, pretty self-explanatory. Jury, solid. I literally don't even remember what DJ got. What did he get? He got, like, shit with, like, punish counter overhead, and what else? Oh, I think his, feint roll is, like, faster. That's probably pretty good. And... you get anything else? Maybe something builds him more drive gauge now, like maybe this does. I feel like I read something like that. Yeah, he's in a good place, obviously. Cammy, pretty self-explanatory. The nerfs are very apparent. Ryu's bonkers now. Not just because of, like, the speed and recovery increase on this. And, the single hit confirm into that, which does give you Oki mid-screen, which is nuts. But all of his combo routes are now better. Like, all of his, like, solid, medium, or heavy combo routes are better because this is, so good. Yeah, so yeah. That shit, all of his B&Bs now got, like, a significant chunk better because of his forward heavy kick jumped air tatsu. And, some of his things in the corner got better, like he can do that in a medium uppercut now instead of light DP. There's a variety of things that he can do now with the faster high blade kick. I mean, like, look at this shit. This is comedy. This is actual comedy. And yeah, he's ballin'. He's pretty ballin'. What else did he get? He got something, right? I will say it kind of I think it, like, reduces the value of Denjin a little bit because none of his new routes that buff, like, a lot of his combos can be used from Denjin, because if this reached, it would be amazing, but it doesn't. So these combo routes have not fundamentally changed much. They're pretty much the same. They're just not. They just didn't climb with the rest of his toolkit. Oh, and anything that you do that already juggles the opponent, you can't do into EX High Blade into this. So if you get, like, counter hit, Hashigeki or something, you can get, you know, EX High Blade from them, but you can't get the forward heavy kick. What else shit? Did anything else changed? It's like most of his stuff. It's just all around better for all this shit. And then, that's ridiculous. I feel like I'm forgetting some massively significant thing. As per usual. Whatever, he's ridiculous now. He is fucking bonkers. Same with Honda. Honda got similar B&B combo buffs. Previously, it was worth it. Let's say you landed like a jump in and you weren't close enough for heavy kick or something. Previously, the optimal combo would have been to do EX hands into something like that. Now, his drive rush routes are actually better. Let's see. His combo routes off of, like, random shit in the corner is really better. Like, his jump-in routes. If he gets, like, a punish counter jump-in, and he's, like... His, like, the cancelable window for stand heavy punch is a little bit further than the cancelable window for stand heavy kick, and more importantly, does way more damage. Also, the fact that, this builds him more super gain, or drive gauge gain, is really good when you're, like, around this distance or in the corner. Now, previously in the corner, I would have said that, like, your main combo ender in the corner is just, like, headbutt, and then you can get safe jump options, or you can get meaty overhead options, but now, it's all about that punch walk. Because of the huge drive gauge gain that you get. And yeah, he can spend his drive gauge quite a lot better now on hit, because he gets stuff like that. He's more suited to get into... Okay, here's the problem, is that the awkward thing about, like, Honda doing stand medium punch drive rush is you can do crouch medium punch, and it's a true block string, so they can't just EXDP through it, but it's only +1, so you don't get, like, jack shit from it. Whereas if you do an immediate light, like let's say you do crouch jab, you're nowhere near them. Now you could do a manually delayed crouch jab, but still have it... See, that was not a true block string, but if I manually delay, it's like there, I slide a little bit further, but, it's still a true block string, so I can't just get EXDP'd for free. And now, because his command throw is faster, now he can actually reliably mix the opponent from that distance, whereas previously he was not able to, he couldn't get shit. Like, he couldn't get real shit. Because, like, even if you're at, like, max range from that, you could go in, you're still not in normal throw range. So, command throw being faster, big buff to that. This, also, huge buff. Same story. It's like, this is, fucking +3, which means he gets and with the faster command throw, he gets real mix into that. He gets real forward throw. It's good stuff all around. Good stuff. But mainly it's just like his combo routes, are ridiculous now. Like anything, like if you just lay in drive rush this, anything that goes into stand heavy punch is now the most bonkers fucking route imaginable. Especially in the corner, because that is so good. That is so good. Anyways, anything else? Anything else for my big man? I think that, okay, there's two things. One, I think that this kind of devalues Sumo Spirit a little bit, because previously Sumo Spirit, it's like, okay, if you land a jump in or you land like a random medium punch or something, your combo options were, so let's say you got like a solid hit. Your combo options, that was the ideal one, but if the opponent was crouching, let's say you get like a punish counter or like a drive rush button, that was still more optimal in this context than doing just this. Unless you were near the corner and you would get the corner Oki, but like, this was still better, but it's like not. But that was one of the reasons why Sumo Spirit was worth a lot, because if you landed something like this, you could get these full routes. I'm sorry, I mean to use more Sumo Spirit when I play Honda, but I don't end up using it a lot. So that is like really good. And then depending on the hits that you land, you can get fancier like meaty clap extension routes, which are nuts. So because those are now not worth as much next to just doing like more drive rush cancels into like the stand fierce into the launcher, they kind of devalue Sumo Spirit a little bit, because like, okay, previously it's like, let's say you land like let's say you landed like a meaty, or okay, let's say you in the corner, you land a counter hit stand medium punch, okay? Now, you have a couple of options. You could do stand heavy kick and go into that, but because it's only the first hit of stand heavy kick that will launch them, it's a little weak. It's like not, whereas if you had Sumo Spirit, what are your extension options? You could launch them and then do that, which is not a huge extension. Let me lower my drive gauge. Or, let's say you have Sumo Spirit. So again, you could do that. Now, let's say you also have Sumo Spirit. You could do this. Let me recall. What was the routing for this? Stand light punch? No. No. Stand light kick? There we go. So you could get that into a meaty extension, and that was like, you know, a nice way to extend it, which is like arguably better than doing this. In some ways, because like... But usually, because like Honda builds so much more super gain from that, and he does more damage, and it's only EX moves, so he's regenerating his drive gauge the whole time from all these hits. So he's got like good stuff from that. But other than that, you would say do that, which does like the same damage as the launcher into the Sumo Spirits, but regenerates more drive gauge and builds more super. Or you could do a fancier route. Like that. And that does slightly less damage, but it builds so much more drive gauge and super gain. It only does like a tiny little bit less damage. So that is a little bit execution heavy, because you have to do like a delay cancel on the clap. And then this spacing kind of auto pilots it for you if you do the stand medium punch. If you were in like a jump in and you tried to do this combo, it'd be more difficult. You'd have to hit like a much later manual delay. So let's see if I can do it. Nope. 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 There we go. So as you can see, fancy, meaty clap combos and such. But anyways, now that, like, if he lands like a heavy, like, stand heavy punch is so bonkers, in that it can just do that, it devalues Sumo Spirit a little bit, because the routes that he get from spending it after he launches are not that good. However, if you're in mid-screen, one value to doing these... Like, let's say you do launch, and then you want to spend Sumo Spirit or whatever. The default way you would do it is do that, and then you get strong Drive Rush Oki in mid-screen. And in this way, Sumo Spirit might be a little better, because his Drive Rush Oki is now way stronger, because if he does land a Drive Rush Stand Medium Punch, he gets these much stronger routes now with Stand Fierce. So, yeah. Yep. Something like that. Anyways, I love him. Oh, also his DI, his, like, punish counter or, like, counter DI is so ridiculous now. It's so good. So, yeah, Honda's cooking. Blanka, I can't remember what he got. I think he got, like, a little bit more frame advantage on some knockdowns and, like, maybe some drive gauge buffs. God, what did Guile even get? He got like a weird buff to a thing that I messed around with and I didn't see why you would do it. He got like, this got buffed. So that it like wall splats them longer. I'll be honest, I don't entirely know what the point is. These routes are not worth doing in the vast majority of circumstances. Ken got nerfed. I think Ken's nerfs are harsher than most people have been talking about. Losing full screen Oki off of VXDP is rough. Also, not being able to drive rush clear across the screen and force the opponent to block stand fierce after level 1 side switch, also rough. Those are the main two things that he got hit with. Chun-Li, kind of interesting. Some of her combo routes, a little bit better. Most of, like, if you're gonna spend drive gauge, her routes have not changed, because, like, this is so good. So, like, let's say you land, like, low forward. Some players do this route, which, to be fair, that route has not changed either. But the optimal route, in my opinion, and in my measurements, would just be to do that, because it builds you so much more super gain, and just is better in every way. Nearly every way. I mean, this does a little more damage, but every other factor is significantly weaker. You get weaker Oki, you get much less drive gain, or sorry, super gain, etc. So yeah, the fact that she gets heavy Tatsu, sorry, heavy bird kick from a lot of these things is really good. That she can get heavy bird kick from stance medium kick has changed. It's probably changed like some optimal combo routes. But her normal B&B, when she just lands stand medium punch, got significantly buffed because of this, and that's pretty huge. What else did she get? It's like most of it. I actually can't remember. She got like a... Oh, right. The main thing that I would say this buffs is like her circumstantial stuff, because her stand heavy punch got buffed in terms of super gain gauge, but like let's say you randomly get like a punish counter, now you can go into medium kick, into heavy tots, into heavy bird kick. I keep saying Tatsu. Why am I saying fucking Tatsu? So her circumstantial hits like that have to go into stance all got significantly buffed. It's kind of wild that they buffed this character. I know no one's playing her anymore, but like, what the fuck? Zangief, kind of weird. I don't know if a minor increase in drive gauge gain on stomps will make people use these moves. Especially because, like, the main value... Like, I use stomps there. That's where I would use stomps before. Because it builds you more super gain than doing Hellstab. And it also leaves you slightly... It's hard to tell, but it leaves you slightly closer for the Oki afterwards. So I consider this better than Hellstab, but the buffs to his drive gauge gain won't even matter here because you can't build drive gauge for that. So that was the only place that I used stomps, really, and it doesn't matter. You could nichely say that, like, let's say you land, like, counter hit forward heavy punch, instead of just converting into Hellstab or something, you could go into stomps, and that will be significantly better, but kind of an awkward hit confirm. Right. So, that's, like, basically all he got. Dhalsim, I think, is a huge winner of this patch. Mostly because, like, he's just rising. Like, he's slowly rising up the ranks. Every single stronger character is, you know, was nerfed. And he just got, like, nice, solid, reliable buffs. Yeah, some of them are a little bit spacing iffy. Now, to be entirely clear, if you land like a jab sequence, this is the same thing I was saying with Lily. It's still obviously better to just cancel straight into the level 1 instead of doing like this fucking sequence. But like this is generally useful for a variety of things. And the big things that he got was like he builds a ton of drive gauge from like these buttons now. And they happen on block. Remember, like, all the drive gauge changes are independent on whether or not they're on hit or on block, unlike super gauge. So he builds half a bar of drive gauge just from doing this button once. So, yeah, that's, like, huge substantive buffs there. So yeah, I think he's a big winner relative to the rest of the cast and relatively speaking. I think he's on his way up. Rashid, fuck this character, man. Like, what the fuck? I haven't seen any of the new Aki routes. I know that she has, like, some new combos in certain circumstances. I've not seen them. I've been meaning to look into that. I'll probably do that sometime today. Ed, I don't think his nerfs are... Okay, I think the Bat Kill Rush nerf is by far the worst, because it affects, like, multiple parts of his kit. It affects his ability to ever do any of these cancels, because it makes him more susceptible to DI if he doesn't always have the option to escape DIs with Bat Kill Rush. Now, I mean, it's, like, fine. It's, like, whatever. So, depending on how harsh this Bat Kill Rush Hurtbox nerf is, let's see. Crouching Light Kick, still a God button. It was nerfed a lot, but in the ways that it's functional, it's still a God button. It's still ridiculous. He can't, like, counter-hit confirm it randomly from, like, shit like this, but he can still counter-hit confirm this. His combos haven't changed from it. And, in fact, I would argue... Okay, people said his level 2 got nerfed. I think they're fucking dumb as shit. They say his level 2 got nerfed. Nothing happened to his level 2, actually. It's just that this got, quote-unquote, nerfed because it's -4 on block. Now, let's be honest, people did not that frequently use this on block. Like, yeah, it happened more often. Like, some people just, like, swing this out or, like, try to check people with this. So it would happen, and, like, he loses that capacity. But also, they buffed it in that it reaches farther, especially on cancels. So these are ranges where he was previously not able to convert into big level 2 shit, and now he can. So, like, let's say he just, like, does a shimmy. So, yeah, still ridiculous. Also, the fact that the range on this got buffed means that he can now buffer some of these buttons from ranges that he previously couldn't. So, like, let me put Cammy, let's say crouch medium kick. Or do nothing. I'll just buffer, crouch short. Oh, look at how nerfed this button is. Oh, it's not the God button anymore. Oh, wait. So yeah, Kill Rush backwards affects all of his, like, flicker stuff that he can do. It could make him more susceptible. It'll probably make him a lot more character dependent because some characters, like, yes, DI is, like, the universal thing, but some characters have different tools, or certain supers can now clip him that previously he could escape with back Kill Rush. So we'll see about that in terms of in general, like, he had the most substantive nerfs, this nerf and stuff. I am not at all, like, concerned about the high-tier nature of this degenerate fucking character. He is fine. He is fine. Okay, Cammy was hurt more significantly because EXDP not side-switching, and she also, like, actually needs to use her crouch medium punch because, like Cammy is a much more simple, straightforward character. Like, Ed, okay, this is more whiff punishable, but also its range is ridiculous. Like, he's not as frequently in a situation where it will whiff as Cammy will whiff crouch medium punch. Because she has, like, normal footsie range, and he has ridiculous range. Also, none of these buttons were touched. None of these other God buttons that Ed has were touched. This got minorly buffed. And this was, like, nerfed ever so slightly. Not really significantly. And, yeah, I am not of the opinion that this character is substantially weaker now. I mean, Rashid got away with murder way more than Ed did, but, yeah, no, I don't buy the fucking Ed was harsh nerfed. Cammy was hit way harder. I would almost argue that Ken was hurt more than Ed, because, Ken's EXDP was a huge... The fact that he got, like, huge full-screen Drive Rush Oki after his EXDP, he's one of the only characters in the cast that could do that to such an oppressive extent. So his EXDP... It's funny, like, previously, before the patch, I would have said Ken's and Cammy's EXDPs are the best in the game. Both of them got hit. Rashid's was also arguably the best in the game because it's a simpler motion, and it makes it easier to react to stuff and just EXDP through it with EX Mixer. He's also got nerfed. But the strong part of Rashid's is still there in that it's a simple, easy motion. So you can react to drive rushes or easily buffer it against drive rush cancels in a way that the other characters can't do quite as sharply. But yeah, Cammy's and Ken's EXDPs got harshly nerfed. Level 1's a lot worse, etc. So I think that, like, core unavoidable aspects of their kit got hurt in ways that Ed can play around his nerfs in a way that Ken cannot, like, play around and avoid the fact that his EXDP is now much worse. Akuma, what? Akuma's the bizarre one to me. Because, like, I was complaining all of Season 2 so far that, like, they did all these changes from Season 1. In Season 1, the thing that I was complaining about in the whole game the most was just the ridiculous damage output of the game. And then they seemed to try to tone that down because they heavily nerfed Luke's damage output. They did all the light damage scaling universal changes. They changed some other characters' damage outputs, etc. JP's in a lot of places. They toned down the damage. DJ, they toned down the damage. And I was like, okay, so they understand that, like, the stupid, dumbass damage output of this video game is kind of an issue, and, like, dumbs the thing down and makes it more brain-rotted, simplistic. And then they just add these two characters, Akuma and Bison, and it's just like they learned no lessons. These characters are, in fact, worse about that than any of the characters in Season 1. So, and the bizarre thing is that in this balance update, the only things that they nerfed with Akuma are, like, the things that make him unique or interesting. Like, they nerfed his fireball game and his regular pokes. Tell me, if you were to describe one obnoxious thing about the video game Street Fighter 6, would you say individual pokes that only do, like, 600 to 700 damage by themselves and convert to no combos are just too strong and oppressive? Oh, we really need to nerf individual pokes. They're just too good in the video game Street Fighter 6. Not this shit. Don't nerf any of this shit. Don't nerf this shit. Why would you nerf this shit? What? That's not a problem. It's obviously the individual fireballs and the isolated pokes. That's what we should nerf. What the fuck? And they did not touch his damage output, like, at all. So, I don't like that. Like, I'm fine with Akuma getting nerfed. Like, it's not that I'm bothered by the nerfs, but I think, and, like, I don't care what really way that they nerf him as long as he's, like, nerfed, but that's not true. I think, like, the character is stupid because of the brain rot damage output and how it, like, dumbs down the game. And it makes the game... It's weird because, like, the actual Akuma players that stick with the character and keep playing Akuma, they do fireballs and they do forward medium kick less and less and less as they keep playing the game, as they keep playing the character, because it's kind of apparent that the whole character is just fierce, drive rush cancel, whatever, heavy Tatsu to get to the corner, and then just hit confirm things into EX Adamant Flame. That's like... And then just abuse Demon Flip that's ridiculous. That's the whole character. They use his fireballs less and less now. He's not like a consistent, like, oh, zoning keep out guy. They're not scraping an opponent's health bar. They're dumping fucking fat damage every single second. And yet they nerf the aspects that are not a problem and are not, like, indicative of the unfunness of the game. I just deeply resent this design philosophy. Bison they nerfed, but not enough, definitely. Okay, here's the awkward thing. Like, they nerfed the scaling after EX Scissors, which is weird because the vast majority of the time, you pretty much just plant the bomb on them, and then that's it. And they didn't nerf the scaling by that much. So, like, all of his shit is still stupid. Like, that does quite a bit, like, a fair amount less damage than it used to, but then the only other things that they nerfed with him are, like, they nerfed some of this shit. I'm glad about that. I'm glad that they toned that shit down, but other than that, dude, they just did, like, a little nerf on, like, the drive gauge that he takes from this. Didn't include Stand Fierce. And, yeah. that's it. They just, that was pretty much it. So, I don't know. I think he's still probably stupid as fuck. Terry, they gave like one big buff in Stand Fierce and then a bunch of little buffs here and there that I appreciate. Glad that medium crack shoot is now +3. That's good. The fact that his Stand Fierce is now like +5 on Drive Rush means that his Drive Rush Oki has gotten significantly better, which means all of his combos have gotten better because he doesn't need to do this to get like good Oki now. Because now he can do this. And even if it's on block, he can still like threaten to walk up into forward throw. It's not like totally true, and like the opponent can still walk backwards here, but like he's close enough that he can oppress with the theoretical option of walk up forward throw in a way that was not the case before. This also indirectly buffs his forward throw because he gets Drive Rush Fierce off of his forward throw too. So, yeah, he's looking really good. I find it a little strange that people are like, oh, Terry got like massive. He got a long laundry list of buffs, but most of them were like pretty on the details. Like, oh, this special move that you don't even really use that often gives you like a bit more drive gauge, or takes a bit more drive gauge on block. I don't know, like just little niche shit like that. This is sped up a little bit. It's still, the speed is still a bit of an issue for it. I say a bit of an issue. It is an issue. And like the things that people complained about with the character and like what he didn't have access to, those were not fundamentally changed at all. So I have never been a naysayer of Terry. I think it's kind of bizarre that like Terry came out and just because he wasn't immediately top 5, people talked about him like he was fucking bottom tier, which is absurd. But, yeah. Alright, do I have anything else to say about the rest of these chuckle fucks? It's like most of it, honestly. Now, with, like, some of the nerfs, again, I'll have to see how harsh how people start adjusting to the back kill rush being a lot weaker for Ed. I kind of think that it won't be that big of a deal. Like, people will take advantage of it, but then, like, I don't know. There's an inherent laziness to the way that fighting game players tackle awkward things. Like Ed having access to charge flicker, but having access to, like, forward or back kill rush cancels. Or, like, his charge flicker could be the anti-air version, so if you jump at him, etc. A lot of people will look at that awkward indecision of mechanics like that and just kind of like take the path of least resistance and be lazy about it. They'll just be like, alright, I'm not sure if I do an option if it'll lose or get me punished or not, so I'll just hang out and just do the safe option. I'll like parry it or something. And because of just the, I said this when Ed came out as a character, I was like, this character will thrive long term because of people's laziness. Because the more lazy that players get about punishing some of his things that are not cleanly punishable, for instance, if Ed does like a stand medium punch target combo into this, there are punishable aspects to him doing this. There are punishable frames here and there that like you can absolutely punish. So for example, if he does the follow-up to this, which Ed players nowadays, if they ever do this, they almost always do the follow-up hit. You can always clean punish this with like a 4-framer buffered into a special or something. And I was like, okay, that is technically... But if he doesn't cancel... Here's the thing. If he doesn't cancel into a follow-up, the opponent would need to choose a 5-framer to reach. See? So it depends on whether or not you do the follow-up. And because you have to choose between doing a 4-framer or a 5-framer to punish that, consistently and like strongly, you can still do a 5-framer, but you will then trade with the fireball. Let me do stand light kick. So that's a punish. And if I do the follow-up, it trades with the fireball, as you can see. So because there's awkwardness to that, like, people just, again, over time, they take the path of least resistance. They don't take the risk, and they just never try to punish this at all. And then it winds up giving Ed a huge advantage because he gets to do this thing that is otherwise, he has no safe option to cancel into. Like, he could do that. That's punishable. That's -6 at a range that's punishable. And if you don't punish this, then he gets to kind of abuse the fact that he can do this target combo and get bigger combos, because previously he would just have to do stuff like that. But if he could do the target combo forever... So I was like, that's why I'm like, this character thrives on the laziness of other players. Is because they find it too awkward to like make these minutia in these stupid, weird guessing situations. Like, oh, he'd do a 4-framer, but only if he cancels, and not if he doesn't cancel or whatever. Makes people just sit and not punish things that are actually risks and should be punished at least like 40% of the time. And so that's why I kind of think that even if Bat Kill Rush is a lot worse, it'll still give enough pause. The character will still give enough pause to people trying to punish his flicker stances and his flicker cancels that laziness will just win out in the day, and he'll still get away with it scot-free most of the time. So yes, I think laziness is like one of Ed's biggest strengths. Well, okay, he's much more solid than that, but yeah, there is a lot of laziness to him. Like, for example, like stand medium kick drive rush on block always has a gap. There's no way it can't have a gap, so it's always EXDP punishable. Doesn't get punished that much, etc. So, you know, here and there, there's some shittles, there's some shitteroos. So anyways, that's one of the reasons why I am not worried about the prospects of Ed long term in this version. I don't even know how long we're going to have this version of the game. I'm assuming they're going to do a new season after Capcom Cup, or maybe like a month or so after that. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But anyways, I think right now, just based on nothing, my overall vibe check is biggest gains in terms of relativity on the tier list, I think, are Ryu, Honda, Dhalsim. Rashid is now, like, probably solidly top 1 or top 2. And, I don't know, maybe fucking, like, DJ. Or one of these characters that's, like DJ and Jury, who only got buffs and have always been strong and never been weak, and are just slowly moving up relative to all the people who are on the characters that are on people's radar to get nerfed. So yeah, I think top 5 is like, I don't know, something like still Ed, I would say, Rashid, I would say Jury, and then I don't know, I'm actually not sure. I still think Bison, maybe JP, maybe Chun-Li, maybe Aki, maybe like a whole swath of other characters. So yeah, that's my impressions.